be part of the dudes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another ramble. It is April Fool's Day today. It actually is. It's 10 to 12 in the morning. I just finished recording City Skylines, which went up today as well. And I thought I would have a ramble. It's been a while. I haven't done one for a little while, and I'm sorry about that. This week has been crazy. Last week has been crazy. The week before that was also crazy. You probably know by now that I have moved. It's done now. The moving is all done. There's still a lot of like stuff to do off the back of moving. But we're in our new house and we're enjoying the hell out of it. It's amazing. We actually have space to run around. We have space to do stuff. We're not all tripping over each other anymore in a small apartment. And it's great. It's really nice. It's such a weird feeling, too. One day, or if indeed you do actually own a house or live in a house, that's yours or by yourself and not with anyone else except for maybe your wife or your girlfriend or whatever, you get this odd sense of like home pride, which I never thought I would ever have. I'm not the kind of person who's sort of like that. Like, I don't really mind where I am or what I'm doing or whatever, as long as I'm reasonably comfortable and I have access to games or whatever it is I feel like doing at the time or whatever. I'm usually okay. I don't think about it too much or whatever. But I find myself now that I'm in my new house puttering around a lot, like doing weird stuff, like putting stuff away and like sorting things out and like organizing stuff and like doing like little tiny bits of DIY. And that's stuff that I would never normally do. But now that we're like in our new house and I'm like happy to be in our new house, I find myself doing a lot of that kind of stuff. Like I'm actively considering buying like a utility belt that I can wear and like hang a hammer off of it and have a little pocket to put nails in and stuff like that. I hold stuff in my mouth while I'm doing, like I put a nail in my mouth while I'm hammering another nail in and stuff. Like I actually feel properly like house proud and like a bit sort of into DIY, but not a lot. Not so much so that it's disgusting or whatever. Like just little tiny things, like putting a nail in a wall to hang up a picture or whatever. But it's weird, and maybe one day you'll experience that as well, or indeed if you have actually experienced that before, you know what I'm talking about. But it's a great feeling. It really is great. It's been a lot of work. We had to do a lot of like moving stuff back and forth, lots of like little shitty car trips back and forth from the old place to the new place, just to get all the stuff that we didn't have time to pack to get removed by like the men that came in the van. So there was all sorts of just stuff, like residual stuff at the old place that we hadn't really seen for like 5 years. Like you uncover the weirdest shit like at the back of your cupboards and stuff like that. Stuff that we moved into the place that we were at before, shoved into a cupboard and literally forgot about for 5 years. And still somehow took to our new place as well. And we'll probably throw it out because we're like in the process now of doing this big sort of sort out on like a spring cleaning sort of thing. And getting rid of stuff and like donating a bunch of stuff that's actually still useful and chucking out a bunch of trash that isn't useful anymore and stuff. So still like pretty busy. Lots of like little stupid things to do, getting people in to do stuff. There's like just like lots of little like teething things, but not bad teething things. Like there's just things that we need. Like we need like a gate for our backyard because there's not one. And with like a 3-year-old, you want to have a gate in case, he runs out into traffic or whatever, because that would be bad. But if you have a gate, of course, he can't do that. So there's just like little things like that to sort out and stuff. And most of it I have to sort of like be in between here and there to, meet people and explain to them what we need. And then they take like weeks to get back to me and stuff. So this is like this ongoing thing. There's all these like little things ongoing, all these like little plates spinning here, there, and everywhere. But it's good fun. It's great. It's a really, really big relief. And we're really happy. It's been a lot of work, but I'm glad it's finally done, and we're settling in and getting back into like routines and stuff. Like the past couple of evenings, I've been able to just play City Skylines and fart around. We got the internet at home now again, so I can start playing Diablo again, and games that you sort of need an internet connection for. So it's all good. It's really good. Of course, that means that in the next week and certainly over Easter and stuff like that, you'll probably notice that there's not as much going up on my YouTube channel as normal. And that's just because I just don't have the time. I'm trying my best to get as much content out as I can. I'm trying to stay in the groove with all the games that I'm playing because I'm enjoying them. I'm excited at the point I'm up to with all of them. And I can't wait to progress through them and play them and finish them and stuff because they're all awesome. But there's just not enough hours in the day. And of course, if you've moved recently or ever moved or whatever, and you're trying to balance like a bunch of things at the same time, you probably realize what that's like as well. So like I said, I'm trying my best. But if things are a little bit light, especially over like the Easter break, and then, maybe the week after, whatever. Well, I think next week after Easter, I think things should sort of even out a bit more. I'll probably have a bit more time here to actually do stuff because I think a lot of the stuff that we needed to get done, a lot of like the people that we needed to meet at the house to like get things done or whatever have been seen to now. So it's just a case of waiting a couple of weeks for them to get back with quotes and stuff like that. But it's all sort of like, it's all coming together now and it's all almost done. So it's great. Excellent. Next week on Tuesday, I'm going to be on the Co-optional podcast as well with Total Biscuit and Jesse Cox and Dodger. I was on it once before. It was a while back now. At the time, I was playing lots of World of Warcraft. Lots and lots of World of Warcraft. I think it was still sort of like the end of Mists of Pandaria, but I think it was around the time Siege of Orgrimmar came out. So I was actively raiding, and I was playing a lot of World of Warcraft and very little of anything else. I can't remember what was going up on my channel around the same time. I think maybe I was starting a new Minecraft series with Shin or something. I can't remember. But this time I hope I'll have much more to talk about and actually know what they're talking about a lot more because I seem to have been playing games recently, like stuff that's come out recently. I feel like I'm more or less up to date, not like super up to date. I never am really super up to date with games. It's just one of those things. Like I tend not to... There's very few AAA games that come out that I'm immediately interested in for some reason. I don't know if you're like that. I don't know if anyone's like that because AAA games obviously sell like crazy. They do very well because they're designed to. So the minute they come out, everybody's pre-ordered them. They go crazy about them or whatever. I'm the kind of guy I take forever to get around to AAA games, if ever even. There's lots of AAA games that I've just never touched and never bothered playing. And there's not really any specific reason for that. I just have to be interested in the game. Like, for instance, if, a new Fallout game came out tomorrow or was announced that it was coming out next month or whatever, I would probably pre-order that and play it when it came out because I'm interested in Fallout. But like things like Assassin's Creed, I never really got into. Watch Dogs, I tried to play it when it came out. I kind of lost interest. That was like a fairly big game at the time, I guess. I don't know what's happening with it now or whatever. Like the Tomb Raider games, when I've never really been like massively into Tomb Raider. I've played like a couple of them a bit or whatever, but I've never really like followed the story if there is one or anything like that. So like generally, like when big AAA games come out, I don't really bother playing that. Like I didn't play the new Thief when that came out, like last year, whatever. There's been a lot of AAA games that I've just completely missed, and like you hear a lot about them. People are always talking about them and waxing lyrical about how crazy and good and stuff they are. But it always takes me forever to pick them up. I mean, Skyrim came out, and I played it 2 years after it came out for the first time. It just came out at a funny time, and I just didn't really have time to get like fully stuck into it or whatever. But I mean, doing it that way sometimes is quite fun too, because, like, especially for something like Skyrim. I mean, when I played it, I didn't use many mods or anything, but by the time I did get around to playing it, if I did want to really get lots of mods and stuff like that, I mean, because the game had been out for 2 years at that point, holy crap, there were a lot of mods like to download and use and all sorts of crazy stuff that you could do to improve the game. So I guess there's that sort of benefit, getting into something very late or whatever. But I find I just have to sort of be in the mood for something, and I sort of get around to it. And coming back to what I was saying about the co-optional podcast, because I just went off on some massive tangent. A lot of the stuff that the guys on the Co-optional podcast were talking about last time when I was on. They were talking about like new console games that were coming out that they were playing at the time. At the time, I didn't even own a console, so I didn't really know much about any of those games or whatever. And of course, PC games that were coming out at the time that people were playing, and I'd probably heard of most of them or whatever, but wasn't too into anything at the time, because I was playing WoW. So hopefully this time, again, like I said, hopefully this time I'll have a bit more to say, and I'll sort of know what people are talking about a bit more, because I have played some of the games that have come out recently, like, City Skylines, which came out at the start of the month. What else came out at the start of the month? Heist for GTA came out at the start of the month, which is pretty exciting. Pillars of Eternity, which came out like last week, which is really good. I've been playing a bit of that. There's a whole bunch of like newer games that have come out that I've managed to play pretty much straight away and have some sort of idea of what they entail or what they're about or whatever. And I've just generally been following more to do with gaming and stuff recently as well, which is something, again, like I don't know if you guys read magazines or read reviews online or whatever. It's something that I dip in and out of a lot. Like, so it depends on what I'm playing. So like if I'm like really, really like madly into like Diablo 3 or WoW or something like that, like I've always got a game that I'm playing almost exclusively, and then I'll dabble like in other things or whatever. And if the game that I'm playing exclusively is generally something that you have to play online with people, so like something like a MOBA or WoW or something like that, I tend not to read anything to do with gaming, because I find out little bits and pieces, or the little bits and pieces that I need to know by talking to people, like while I'm playing these games and stuff. So it's like fine. But like recently I've been playing a lot of City Skylines, like in my spare time, and recording it and stuff like that as well, which of course you do by yourself. So you tend to sort of go off and read stuff. Like I'll go off and read stuff about City Skylines, which will then lead me on to reading other stuff or whatever. And then I'll sort of suddenly realize, oh, hang on a second, I haven't read PC Gamer in like 4 months. Maybe I should get that. And then I'll read that. And then, so it's like it's something that I like dip in and out of a lot. But recently, again, like I, started reading PC Gamer again, which is pretty good, actually. I like PC Gamer. I've always sort of bought PC Gamer and read it and enjoyed it. And I got to meet some of the guys just on various trips and stuff that used to be like editors for PC Gamer and stuff, which is really interesting as well. I mean, it's really weird talking to people who know a lot about games and the industry, because like it's weird for me. I sort of like work like around the games industry, I guess, like through the stuff that I do. It's such a weird one. I don't consider myself part of the industry at all. I certainly don't consider myself like a voice for critique or reviewing of games like within the industry, even though the stuff that we do sort of lends itself well to advertising games or promoting games or whatever. I mean, obviously, like if you have X amount of people watching your videos every single day, that is in itself good advertisement for a game, especially if the game is good and I'm excited about it, or whoever's playing it is excited about it. That in itself is like a good sort of like a form of review for a game. It's almost like a way of recommending a game or something like that. But I certainly don't consider myself like part of the gaming industry or whatever. But I've had the opportunity to meet a lot of people who are in the gaming industry, like developers, journalists and stuff like that. And it's interesting because their take on everything is crazy. Like they just have this like sort of like really like analytical approach to sort of like the way the game is designed, and the things that go into it and how it compares to other games, and all of this stuff that of course people who avidly read game reviews and stuff like that are going to be really interested in finding out. Like for me, I'm so simple when it comes to games. Like and I always have been. If something looks good, or if it looks fun, or if it has like an obscure mechanic that I think seems interesting, or something that fits with my style of gameplay or something like that, I'll probably pick it up. Like I'm older, I have disposable income. I'm probably like the perfect target for Steam and stuff like that, because you do, like when you have your own credit card hooked up to Steam, it doesn't matter what you're doing. Like even before I started doing YouTube stuff, I had stuff from the Steam sale just stockpiled in my games list. I have like thousands of games in my Steam games list, and a lot of it I haven't even played because, you know, I've picked up games that were like 75% off because they looked good or they got good reviews or like good Metacritic scores or whatever, or, you know, people have recommended them to me and stuff. But I still haven't played them. I've never gotten around to playing them. Maybe I should do that someday. Maybe I should just go through my Steam list and play some random game that I've never even heard of that just exists in my Steam list and see what it's like. Because I bet you there's a lot of trash in there. But there might be like some real diamonds in the rough too. There might be like some true gems just hidden in there that I still haven't played or whatever. Which would be interesting, actually. But yeah, so like my whole approach to games and, you know, even like reading reviews and stuff like that, I don't know if I'm necessarily swayed by reviews. Like I read a lot of PC Gamer, but my favorite parts of PC Gamer are sort of like the not so much the reviews of the games themselves. Like I'm interested to see what they think of big games. You know, like I'll always read reviews on games that I'm particularly interested in, just to see what their take is and stuff like that. And some things are a bit too technical, and I just think I don't even know if I really care or whatever. It's nice to have an opinion, but I don't care. And then some stuff, you know, is generally, you know, interesting to find out about, you know, like things like how the DRM works for the game, or, you know, if there's like game-breaking bugs that it's shipped with that you have to be aware of and shit like that. But generally, I don't know if a review necessarily sells me a game. Because again, when you play a game, you load up a game, you sort of like, it's part you playing a game, but like your imagination kicks in as well, and you have hopes for what a game is going to be, and you're sort of discovering things in a game. Like, I don't know if you guys ever did this, but like, you know, like the old like Final Fantasy games, so like games that I used to play like on the Super Nintendo and like when I was younger or whatever, like your expectations of a game are so high sometimes, aren't they? Like you're playing a game, and sometimes the complete opposite. Sometimes they're really low, and a game can really surprise you when they do something. But like I remember like playing games like when I was younger and thinking like, you know, especially like PlayStation games and PlayStation 2 games, you know, when they really started using like recorded audio for like cinematics and for like interactions with NPCs and stuff like that. And I always just remember thinking it's funny because like there's some clever things that it does. Like you can tell that they record like separate audio for like certain bits or whatever to fit in, like if you're a male character, female character and stuff like that. They have all these like extra tracks and stuff. And like I always just expected them like the actual audio, you know, like they'll refer to your character sort of generically because there's no way for the game to sort of pronounce like the name that you've given your character or whatever. But like you always like expect a game to like and it's like an unrealistic expectation, but for some reason I still always expect a game to turn around and surprise me and like pronounce the character name that I've given my character somehow. Like I don't even know. Like they'd have to use like Microsoft SAM technology, but then like tune the voice to make it sound like a bit like it's kind of like the Mr. Burns and Smithers thing on the computer, you know, like the Smithers, you really turned me on. Like it'd be so funny if the NPC guy is talking to you and it's like, oh, and lo, the crystals were delivered and it's all thanks to you. Sips. Like just a completely different voice, but that would blow me away. And like my expectations for games are always like weird in that sense where I expect the game to be able to do something and I'm like elated if it does live up to that or if it does something equally amazing. And not so disappointed if it doesn't, because I know that my expectations in a lot of cases are like completely unrealistic. But like I'm still always hopeful and expectant that stuff like that could potentially happen. And I'm sort of just waiting for the day where something like that does happen and it blows me away. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but still, it's something that I like think about from time to time. Like I remember distinctly. And like I always liked the way that they sort of, and it was so easy to do, you know, in old RPG games that were all text-based, the older Final Fantasy games, which were like text-based, you had to read like a lot of the, you had to read all of it. You know, they'd be like, whatever your character name was, they could just easily insert it into the text. But I always just thought that it would be so funny if like you heard the audio rendition of that at some point. It might happen. I'm sure it will happen with like all the VR headsets and all this stuff that's like kicking around now. We're not too far off an NPC being able to pronounce your character name and fit it in flawlessly with the rest of the dialogue that it's reciting or whatever, but still, whatever. So what was I talking about? Was I talking about the games industry and my sort of like non-involvement in it? I don't feel like part of the games industry, even though like I in a roundabout way promote games or whatever. And in the past when we were doing Yogg's Discovery stuff or whatever, and we did deals with developers to help them promote games, of course, I still don't know if like that's considered part of the industry though. Well, I suppose advertising a game is considered part of the industry, but I've never really considered myself as part of it. And I still don't really. I mean, I'm just a guy who plays games and happens to record them and people watch them or whatever. And most of the games that I'm recording now, well, I mean, City Skylines is brand new and I'm recording that. Same with Hotline Miami 2. But of course, Grim Fandango is really old now. I mean, it's been remastered. So that you can play it again, like on modern machines and stuff like that. But it's still a very old game. And of course, the original Fallout, much the same. It got like a little sort of update so that it could, run through Steam or whatever. But it's an old game, like 97. 97 is pretty old for games. That really shows in Fallout as well, like the sort of graphical style back then. And like a lot of people, when I first started playing this, and I sort of mentioned it in the Fallout playthrough, like that the graphics were different and it was a different style. And a lot of people rightly said that graphics back then were designed for CRT monitors because that's all there was. The big bulky monitors, the non like flat screen monitors or whatever. So the games actually probably do look a little bit better on those, but of course they're not around anymore. I mean, I don't think you can buy them anymore. I think you'd have to literally go to, like, do you have one of these in your town? It's like an old computer store with like just old parts and pieces for computers, and that used to be white and they're all like brown and beige now because they've just been like discolored from I don't know, just generally being old and stuff. There's a place like sort of close by that I could go to get a I would never step foot in that store because it just looks like so filthy and stuff. But I guess the only other place that you could go is like a dump. Maybe you could go to a dump and get a CRT monitor. Sometimes at dumps and recycling centers, they have like those little like containers on the side where it's like stuff that's not actually broken that, could be reused. And there's always just like a pile of books at the back that nobody's ever bothered to go through because, it's not, they're all like, again, the pages used to be white. They're all like brown and beige now from just being old and nobody's ever touched them or whatever. So some hot tips for you. If you're looking to get a CRT monitor or you want to experience the original Fallout, or indeed maybe even some of the old Warcraft and Starcraft, the original Starcraft and stuff on a CRT monitor, which they were designed for apparently, either find a shop that does like really old computer stuff, like beige computer parts, or go to your local recycling center and search that container that has stuff that's not actually broken. Those are two really good places for you to get a CRT monitor. And of course, if you don't give a shit, don't bother. Just install these games on Steam and play them on your new crazy ass 4K monitors or whatever. And they probably just look just as good, if not better, really. I think you have to turn the brightness up sometimes, just because some stuff like seems to be a bit dark. I don't know, like Fallout, when I'm playing it, sometimes it just looks so dark. I can't see anything sometimes, especially like when it's nighttime in the game or whatever. That could be another thing to do with the fact that it was designed to be sort of like displayed on a CRT monitor or whatever. I don't know. We may never know. So Easter this weekend. I hope you're all excited. Easter's always nice, isn't it? I don't know if you guys like celebrate Easter. I mean, if you're religious and you celebrate Easter and stuff, I suppose there's lots for you to be doing. I personally am not religious. I don't really celebrate anything religiously. All of the sort of religious holidays in the West that are celebrated commercially, of course, I celebrate them in that sense because you get time off work for them, and if you have kids, they love all of that. Like, we're gonna do like an Easter egg hunt for my son because he is convinced that the Easter Bunny is gonna visit our house, not only our house, his grandma's house too, and hide eggs for him to find and stuff like that. And it's awesome. He gets so excited. He knows like exactly what eggs he wants. But he doesn't like ask for them straight up. He sort of just says, I hope the Easter Bunny brings me those Smarty eggs that I really like. And it's like, well, yeah, he might, if you're really good and you really just believe, like Parappa the Rapper taught you, it's going to happen. You get those Smarty eggs or whatever. So, like, we celebrate in that sense, and it's fine. So we tend to just eat a lot of chocolate and have, like, a nice lunch on Sunday. And then usually we have like another nice lunch on Monday, which is just like a continuation of the lunch from Sunday, because you end up making way more food than anybody could possibly ever eat, sort of thing. So it's the way it goes. But it's good. It's nice. There's always like in Britain, when you have like the BBC and stuff, and they always put movies on, because the way that like the school systems and everything work over here, it's all sort of like countrywide. So like everybody's off around the same time. So like the TV channels know that everybody's off at the same time. So instead of their normal daytime programming, which is all like Homes Under the Hammer and Antiques Roadshow and stuff like that, they just put movies on. And oftentimes they're like Pixar movies, like kids movies and stuff, but like it's not stuff that's just like unwatchable by adults and stuff. They usually pick like pretty good stuff. Sometimes they even have like Teen Wolf and stuff. Teen Wolf's on like all the time. I'm pretty sure Teen Wolf is on ITV like every week at this point. And I watch it every week as well because it's an awesome movie. Stuff like that. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to eating lots of chocolate, watching Teen Wolf probably a couple of times, and maybe Wall-E a couple of times as well. And whatever else is going to be on TV. And just generally just chilling and spending time with my family and stuff. And I hope you do the same. I hope you guys have a good Easter. I hope you spend some time relaxing, maxing, hanging out with your friends or your relatives or whoever you enjoy spending time with. Eat a lot of chocolate. If you're allergic to chocolate, I'm sure there's like substitutes. I don't know what they are. Maybe just like chew some tobacco or something. Hey, try something new. Let your hair down. Try something new this Easter. That's what I say. Chew some tobacco and get a spittoon and just be really socially awkward around your family. They're trying to like tell you about, old Grandpa Joe's hernia or whatever, and you're just dinging away in the corner on the spittoon. Why not, right? You gotta live a little. You have to let your hair down, and you gotta really embrace life and chew tobacco and use a spittoon and stuff, and that's fantastic. I think all of that stuff is great. Personally, I've never chewed tobacco before or used a spittoon, but I have a great amount of respect for anybody who has the cojones to pull it off, because I think you have to somehow, realistically, when you think about it, I think you would have to practice that somehow, like somewhere out of the public eye. Because if you walked into a Wild West saloon for the first time and you just started chewing tobacco, you never chewed it before in your life, and then you had to try to like aim your spit into the spittoon as well, it would never work. You'd never be able to do it flawlessly, right? So I guess these people have to set up something at home or like in their backyard or in their garage and practice like extensively at some point, so that when they go to the old Wild West saloon and then they're ready to just sort of like showcase their tobacco chewing skills and also spittoon prowess, they're sort of ready to go off the back of like a lot of practice and stuff like that. See, it's little things like that. Not everybody appreciates that. A lot of this stuff, it's like carnies, right? Like those guys that set up like fun fairs and stuff like that. They always have those rides that spin around really fast. And you always see that one guy who's wearing shoes without socks and he's got shorts on. And he's always jumping in between all the bars. And he seems to like have all these dance moves relating to like how his ride works and stuff like that. And you can tell that this guy just lives and breathes that ride. Like he's set it up a million times. He's had to like maintain it a million times, and he's really good at jumping around on it while it's spinning really fast. And he can impress all the ladies with his ability to get onto the ride while it's spinning really fast and like tighten up a bolt or something like that. And it's the same, I think. I think it relates back to people in old Wild West saloons with the tobacco and the spittoon and stuff. I think practice makes perfect, and then practice even more and beyond perfect. It just becomes like an automatic thing where you don't even realize you're doing it. It's just becomes second nature. It's like another like sense or something. You've just developed this other sense for being good at spinning into spittoon or tightening a bolt on a moving fairground ride or whatever. Great. All right. Well, anyway, like I was saying, have a good Easter. I'm sorry if things are a bit light at the moment because of everything that's going on. I'm sort of just trying to stay on top of things. I'm doing okay in staying on top of things, but obviously wish I could be doing more, but it's just the way it goes. Co-optional podcast next week on Tuesday at the usual time, I guess. I can't remember what the time is, and there's the time zone difference and stuff like that. So hopefully I make it on time. I should. Anyway, I'll double check. And then hopefully next week when things aren't so busy, I'll be able to get a lot more sort of double whammies out. We can look at some other newer games that are coming out, do some more evenings with sips and stuff, which are always fun. And then continue these playthroughs that I'm working through now. Maybe get some of these games finished. Grim Fandango, I don't want to say it because we're probably still a long way off finishing it because it seems like a long game. It's a very fun game. It's a very good game. The dialogue, some of the dialogue is incredible. It's made me laugh harder than I've ever laughed at any other game before. But some of the puzzles are so obscure, so weird, and so frustrating as well. But I still love the game despite that. And I think that's the general consensus among a lot of people as well. Some of the games, the first time they've played through it, some of the puzzles aren't immediately sort of like, oh yeah, okay, I get what. And sometimes even when you have solved the puzzle, you're like, what did I even do? I don't even realize how I managed to do that or whatever. But the story and everything, the dialogue more than makes up for that fact. And it's a classic for a reason, right? Everybody refers to it as a classic. So I'm not sure if we're even close to finishing that game. I mean, I've left Rubalcaba and Zapato I didn't land in because I broke my boat. I'm stuck under the water now. So we'll figure that out. Fallout, I'm not sure how far off I am with either. Hotline Miami 2, I think, is probably the one most likely to wrap up first. Because I don't know if it's much longer than the first game, but we're getting there now. I mean, it's been a couple episodes, and the story's like progressing and stuff like that. So I'm not sure. We'll have to see anyway. I mean, I could always come back and do hard mode, which would be ridiculous, because obviously I'm not very good at the game. It doesn't stop me from enjoying it, but I certainly don't play it the way that it was designed to be played, I guess. And by that, I just mean people trying the hard modes and practicing and speed running and doing all this stuff. I don't think I could ever do that. I don't think I'd ever get good at that. I think my way of doing the levels and stuff like that is just trying the same thing over and over and over and over again, the same way until I finally make it work. Like I barely ever change up my tactics. So there is that as well. All right, great. Well, I will leave you there. Have a great Easter. Again, sorry for the light content schedule for now, but things will pick up again after. I hope you have a good Easter and spend some time with your loved ones, or doing just do the things that you love to do. Just take some time for yourself, have a rest, and do the things that you love to do, and have a nice break. And if you don't celebrate Easter in any way, shape, or form, and you don't even like it or whatever, well, enjoy not liking Easter, and I hope that the weekend goes very quick for you and ends very quickly so that you can get past it and then move on to something else or whatever. But yeah, there you go. Great. Well, thanks as usual for listening. This will be up and ready to download probably the day after tomorrow, or maybe even tomorrow or whatever. But yeah, thanks as usual for listening, and I will see you next time. Bye.
I want to be part of the stunt crew. I want to be part of the dudes. I want to be part of the stunt crew. I want to be part of the dudes. I want to be part of the stunt crew. I want to be part of the dudes.